This is ABC 13 Eyewitness News at 9 p.m. on CW 39.
Major developments in the COVID-19 pandemic as officials from the state, schools, and here in Houston make decisions on the upcoming school year.
We will not put the health and safety of our students and staff at risk.
Houston ISD holds off on bringing kids back into the classroom, opting for virtual learning for the first 6 weeks. We'll explain what happens after that and what parents need to decide. We will get to all of that in a minute, but first we are first at 9 to give you your 3-day forecast. Let's check in with Chief Forecaster David Tillman. Good evening, David.
Good evening, and we do have at least a little bit of good news for you, Elisa. We haven't seen much in the way of rain around here recently, but we've got, well, a 10% chance in for tomorrow. Not much of a chance for rain on Thursday, but look at Friday, 30%. We've got a 20% chance on Saturday. Temperatures at least not up to the 100-degree mark, and there's actually higher rain chances in the forecast for next week. I'll tell you more about it coming up in your forecast.
All right, David, thank you. HISD joins several other districts by starting virtually for the new school year. ABC 13's Roxy Bustamante has more on the district's plan and what students and parents need to know.
Some parents and teachers are relieved. They believe this is a step in the right direction, while others, they're not on board. They believe that this could have a negative impact on students both mentally and academically. Dr. Granita Lathan saying it was a tough decision for her to make.
Even in the same family, you can have different needs.
Houston ISD, the largest school district in Texas, is going virtual for the first 6 weeks of school, pushing back its start date to September 8th. Then students will slowly be brought back into the classroom in October and allowing parents to opt out of face-to-face learning if they choose to do so.
I've had many sleepless nights, even up until this morning, wrestling with this decision. But I need our children to be safe. But I need the adults that are charged with serving those children. I need them to feel comfortable coming to work.
Dr. Lathan noting that online learning could last longer than 6 weeks, depending on the number of COVID-19 cases in Houston and Harris County.
We'll have to see some parents will have to see where we are in the crisis.
So for me, it's disappointing because I have a job that I need to get to, and a lot of people do across the city of Houston.
The district created a COVID-19 gauge similar to Harris County's to help the community understand what the current state is for students going back into the classroom. If it is green, schools will be open and there will be little to no need for social distancing. When yellow, there will need to be moderate social distancing. Orange means some schools are closing and social distancing is required. When we're at red, schools shut down and we're back to virtual learning. Andy Dewey with the Houston Federation of Teachers says he believes HISD's plan puts health and safety first.
It is best for the overall community, and those people who are left behind for it, we will have time and opportunity to bring them up to speed.
The district will be trying to get technology into the hands of students who did not have it before so that they can continue the virtual learning in the fall. Roxy Bustamante, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Many HISD parents are worried how their children will learn without a computer or reliable internet access. ABC 13 reporter Stefania Okoli is looking at how the school district is working to bridge the digital divide that does impact many families.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be quite a monumental shift for families, parents, and students. Dr. Granita Lathan, the HISD superintendent, pointing to a technological divide earlier today, a challenge they face when it comes to homeschooling. There are thousands of families who don't have resources. A survey shows 35% of households don't have internet, 35% said they needed more reliable internet, and 52% say they need technology devices for schoolwork. This is something Dr. Lathan says they will help with. I spoke with a virtual learning expert earlier who says that parents need to know that this is very possible.
Oh, it's absolutely going to be okay. Kids are natural learners and they're naturally curious, and parents are natural teachers. Again, a parent is a child's first and best teacher.
We know when schools transitioned to virtual learning back in March, districts like HISD assisted with resources by handing out hotspots and laptops to students. HISD will do the same again in addition to curbside meals for families in need. I'm Stefania Okoli, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Parents, we know a lot of you are still uneasy about the start of the school year. As districts are rolling out their policies this week, we wanted to get a pulse for how Texas parents and teachers are feeling. So we wanted to take a closer look at new data provided by Deloitte. More than half of the parents surveyed say they are uncertain about the start of the year. Out of those who've been told about precautions for the school year, 29% say that schools will require social distancing, 28% will be remote, and 23% will reduce the number of students in class. 16% will stagger schedules. Tonight, the Lieutenant Governor is weighing in on school reopenings. ABC 13's Ted Oberg has more on their conversation.
As Governor Abbott did last night with us, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick today seeming to acknowledge the changing face of COVID across Texas, but did suggest schools should remain open to good news on the COVID front as soon as it happens.
Dan Patrick, who's strongly pushed to reopen Texas, all of Texas, as soon as possible, is now willing to admit COVID has changed since he started saying that.
Let's just move the clock back a little bit. A month ago, there was clearly no reason that every student, or most every student, shouldn't be able to come back to the classroom. We obviously have a spike in some areas in the state where that may be slowed down. So I still want every kid back in the class, and I think a lot of parents do, and I think a lot of teachers want to come back as soon as they can.
But now, as districts including Fort Bend, Alief, and today HISD are starting virtually, Patrick says that choice should be up to local leaders, just not open-ended.
What we don't want to have happen is for any school district to say, you know what, we're just going to do this virtual for a long, long time. As soon as the health conditions in that district are at a position where the teachers and the students and the parents feel safe, we need to get them back in the classroom. So I haven't changed my position. It's just the data has changed a little bit, on the ground.
When kids do go back, Patrick, who wore a mask as he arrived to our interview, is fine with a mask mandate in schools and said Texas is committed to funding COVID needs in Texas classrooms.
We added $3 billion to this school year, including teacher pay raises. We're fully funding what we committed to. And we've needed the help of the federal government and some of those federal dollars to do so. In addition to that, we already have $400 million set aside to pay for COVID expenses. And if we need more from schools, they send us the receipts, we'll do more. We're setting $200 million aside to buy laptops.
Not every school district is going to be happy to hear what the Lieutenant Governor just said there, because the federal government, the CARES Act, that COVID funding from the feds, seemed to allocate specific millions to area districts. All of that money was not passed on. The Lieutenant Governor, who watches the budget awful close, said if it was, they'd have to cut in other areas of the education budget. COVID has just punched such a hole in the state's economic picture. Ted Oberg, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
A special young fan of the Astros had a wish come true, all part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. 15-year-old fan Lourdes Rodriguez is battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. She'd been a lifelong faithful fan of the Stros. So the mascot, Orbit, made a special delivery of a custom jersey and other gifts. It all took place at the teen's home in Galena Park.
So there's your jersey. This is one of our players. I think you know who that is, though, yeah?
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
Altuve.
It is Altuve. Now, the way you said it, is he one of your favorite players?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Good to know.
Awesome. Even Jose Altuve, the teen's favorite, had a special recorded message for Lourdes as a surprise. She got teary-eyed when she heard the message, and Jose Altuve inviting her to a game when the fans are allowed back in the stadium. The Astros have been a part of several Make-A-Wish dreams. This is the first that they've done since the pandemic. Just ahead, police reform in Prairie View, why the city council voted to make changes they say will help the police and the community, and how the police chief is reacting. Houston rapper Trey the Truth was arrested during a protest for Breonna Taylor in Kentucky. Trey posted about it on Instagram. He was with other protesters who gathered around the home of Attorney General Daniel Cameron, asking for the arrest of the police officers involved in Taylor's death. Texans wide receiver Kenny Stills was also arrested and charged with intimidating a participant in a legal process. That is a felony. Trey says he was also charged with a felony. Today, we spoke with Trey the Truth about what happened.
I guarantee you we got his attention, and this is only the beginning process. We don't stop here because a family needs justice. You can arrest me with multiple charges and 100 other people, give us felonies and everything else, but you can't even hold the officers accountable at all that killed Breonna when she didn't do nothing wrong.
This latest protest is coming after a police report gave a few more details into what happened the night Taylor was shot 8 times. The report had a box for forced entry, which was checked no, and it also said none in the space for the victim's injuries. Meanwhile, police departments across the country are making big changes and taking a detailed look at the way they detain citizens. Prairie View is the latest to roll out new policies for their officers. This week, the city council passed resolutions they feel will strengthen the relationship between residents and police. Now there will be no more chokeholds, no-knock warrants, or tear gas, and they'll limit the use of militarized equipment. Prairie View will also form a citizen review board.
We just want to kind of see where we were as a department and kind of address those things on the front end before we were faced with any of those situations within our own community.
There's no need to put hands on anybody when they're not being a threat to you. You know, sometimes you just got to talk to people, and a lot of times you can get someone else to come and talk to them.
The new policies come the same week of the 5th anniversary of Sandra Bland, who was pulled over by a state trooper in front of Prairie View A&M University, then ultimately found dead days later in the Waller County Jail. Chief Lopez says he plans to continue community-based initiatives and is looking for peaceful resolutions first. Now, this story captured attention worldwide. The city of Minneapolis facing a lawsuit now in the murder of George Floyd.
Today, we have filed a federal wrongful death civil rights lawsuit on behalf of George Floyd's family and all of his children.
The suit is also filed against the 4 officers charged in his death. The lawsuit says the city is responsible for his death. It goes on to say that Floyd was deprived of his rights. The suit comes as body camera video of his death is being seen by appointment only. It comes from 2 of the officers involved, and attorneys believe it will show a more complete picture of what happened when Floyd was taken into custody. So far, a judge has denied news organizations the right to publish the video for wider distribution. Checking in with Chief Forecaster David Tillman. David, I went out today. It was almost cool outside in the shade very early this morning, but quickly when I took my walk, I could see it was going to be another July day in Houston.
And guess what? The National Weather Service actually updated the high temperature for today. We made it up to 99 degrees, but at least we did make it to triple digits, and we don't have any more triple-digit temperatures in the forecast, but it's still going to be hot. Finally, a chance for rain, though. That's something we haven't seen in just about a week because we've had this high-pressure ridge, this heat ridge right over the state of Texas. It's going to start to back off and back away a little bit as we head into Friday. That will allow this trough of low pressure to move in. That trough of low pressure, along with moisture coming in from the east, will combine along with the daytime heating to give us some scattered thunder showers on Friday afternoon. Now, what about tomorrow? Well, I can't completely rule out an isolated shower for your Thursday, but most areas will be dry most of the time. If we do get an isolated shower, it'll probably be over parts of Chambers County, Galveston County, maybe eastern parts of Harris County, and only briefly. The rain chance goes up a little bit by Friday, though. Watch what happens as that low pressure trough moves in and that moisture moves in. We see some scattered afternoon thunder showers develop out there. So hopefully, if you're one of the lucky people, you'll be one of the lucky people that the lucky ones that get a little rain on the grass coming up on Friday. 89 degrees is where we are in Houston right now. It feels like 95. Relative humidity not quite as high as what we've seen recently. So we've seen some nights here at 9 o'clock in the evening where it's still in the low 90s with feels like temperatures over 100, but you can see that high pressure ridge is beginning to break down just enough to allow us to be a little cooler. First thing tomorrow morning, upper 70s, low 80s over most of southeast Texas. High temperatures for tomorrow should make it back to the middle to upper 90s out there with triple digit temperatures in this central part of the state, extending up north as well. 102 in Wichita Falls, 100 in Dallas, 103 California and San Angelo. Watch what happens on Friday as that high pressure moves a little farther west. It will still be in the triple digits down here, but we'll start to see some 90s across the eastern part of the state, including southeast Texas, and we'll also see 87 in Lake Charles. That because of the moisture and the chance for rain. So here's the extended forecast. 97 for us tomorrow. Rain chance not zero, but it's less than 20%. 30% on Friday, 20% over the weekend. And then as we head into next week, we've got 30 and 40% rain chances as even deeper moisture moves in.
Thank you. Part of HISD's big announcement today about the school year meant that there would not be athletics right away. They put it on hold. That's not the case everywhere, though. Greg is back to talk about all of that.
Yeah, it's obviously a very difficult decision for everybody involved. HISD does shut down both the workouts and sports. They leave open the possibility, perhaps in the words of the superintendent, playing sports in January. Other districts have much different ideas and different approaches. We visited George Ranch football this morning. Their workouts continue. George Ranch following the guidelines set by their leaders in Lamar Consolidated ISD. The coaching staff really stresses to us they're doing everything in their power to make sure their players are safe. So it's protocols first, football second.
Like for us, the first 2 days, actually the first 3 days, we took a lot of time in going over the protocols. We weren't so worried about let's get the workout in or let's get that, but let's show them how to check in, how to wait in line. You know, if you look throughout the campus, we went on and spray painted GR logos up and down our sidewalks with 6 feet apart to kind of work on, you know, to help with social distancing.
They're doing everything they can do to keep sports alive. It is obviously not easy, and we understand these are tough decisions for everybody. Going back to HISD, it sure sounds like if conditions improve, they are willing to reconsider this decision. But for now, virtual classes mean no sports and no workouts.
And that protocol is so important for the students because if a lot of them have been just at home with their families, they don't realize how close they are when they're talking to somebody, things like that. You got to imprint it in their brains, I guess.
Well, seeing the young people at George Ranch wearing masks during the workouts, that's a change from what we saw back in June.
Right, Greg. All right. Thank you. So as we go to break, we'll take a look at Aldine ISD's reopening plan. The district says they will start August 17th. The first 3 weeks will be online learning only, and teachers will report to campuses. A live look now, too, to the West Loop. These are the southbound lanes, the view from Post Oak, courtesy of Houston Transtar. For construction, all lanes southbound and some lanes northbound shut down overnight. You can see it's causing a backup this evening. We're now learning when President Trump will meet with the family of Fort Hood soldier Vanessa Guillen. Their family attorney confirmed today that they will meet with the president July 29th in D.C. Their meeting comes just ahead of the I Am Vanessa Guillen bill being released. Guillen's family is planning to introduce that bill to Congress. It is meant to protect soldiers from harassment. Guillen went missing in April after her family says she reported being harassed while on base. Just yesterday, the woman charged with getting rid of her body made a court appearance. Cecily Aguilar is being held without bond. Firefighters rescued several people in an overnight fire. That story and a lot more in your news in 60 seconds.
Take a look at this video from this morning. You can see firefighters helping out residents of a high-rise building after it caught fire on Post Oak near Hidalgo. That fire happening on the top floor. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Meanwhile, President Trump's former physician, Ronnie Jackson, won the Republican primary runoff in North Texas. The retired Rear Admiral was nominated for Veterans Affairs Secretary back in 2018, but withdrew after allegations of abuse. He denies those allegations. And you're looking at a bunch of bags of catfish on the road in Brazoria County. This after a train hit a semi-truck. This happened on Country Road 171 near County Road 420. No word on any injuries. And Disney is taking big steps on reopening. Disneyland Paris, along with Epcot and Hollywood Studios at Disney World in Florida, all opening to the public. Limited guests are allowed inside. Disney is the parent company of ABC 13. And when you talk about your dog's age, think again. A new study suggests you shouldn't multiply its age by 7. The complicated math equation would make the dog older than that.
That was Chauncey Glover. There is now a much-needed COVID-19 hospital opening in Houston. We break down how many beds it will have and where the patients will be coming from for treatment. David?
And the heat is improving a little bit for you golfers, but it's still going to be hot out there, and the best tee times will still be first thing in the morning. Upper 70s to start things off at 7 a.m., up to 91 at noon. 97 to 98 degrees is what we're forecasting for a high tomorrow. There are some cooler temperatures and rain in the extended forecast coming up.
This is ABC 13 Eyewitness News at 9 p.m. on CW 39.
Welcome back. I'm Elisa Rivas. Let's check right in with Chief Forecaster David Tillman. He's going to tell us how the rest of the week looks for us. David?
But aren't we glad, Elisa, that at least we didn't hit 100 degrees today? It was still a hot one out there. There's a look at high temperatures. 99 was the high today. Sugar Land made it to 98, and it made it all the way up to 96 in Tomball and Pearland. And no triple digits in the extended forecast. There's a 3-day forecast. 97 tomorrow, 95 on Friday because of the increase in rain, and 96 back again on Saturday. We'll talk more about higher rain chances for next week coming up in your forecast.
Now to the big news for local parents. Houston ISD students will begin the new school year online. That will last for at least 6 weeks. ABC 13 reporter Jessica Willey has more.
Yeah, right now, virtual learning is only for the first 6 weeks. Superintendent Dr. Grenita Lathan said only 21% of parents surveyed said they would be comfortable with their students doing in-person instruction right off the bat. The Houston Federation of Teachers, the union, supports the plan, saying it's the safest option.
I've had many sleepless nights, even up until this morning, wrestling with this decision.
HISD Interim Superintendent Dr. Grenita Lathan unveiled the long-awaited plan for the upcoming school year. Virtual for the first 6 weeks with a later start date of September 8th, and then in person if parents choose it for their children. They will be asked twice starting August 24th for their decision. HISD wants parents to stick to it for an entire grading period. Grades will count and attendance is a must. But Lathan also emphasized nothing about this school year is set in stone.
I believe it's the year of flexibility. I believe it is truly the year of allowing parents to make that decision based on their own health, their level of concerns around the health of their child or their family.
When students do return to buildings, everyone will be screened daily and required to wear masks and wash hands frequently. HISD will provide personal protection items. Right now, 18 campuses are being set up as models to see what social distancing and other health and safety guidelines will look like inside schools. Fall sports are tentative, and if COVID-19 conditions don't improve, virtual learning may continue.
I need our children to be safe, but I need the adults that are charged with serving those children. I need them to feel comfortable coming to work. And I want everyone in our district to be successful.
Jessica Willey, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
As hospitals are still surging and adding more beds to treat COVID-19 patients, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner announced 16 new deaths in the city and over 700 new cases. ABC 13's Marla Cotter has more from what doctors are saying is keeping hospitals from becoming totally overrun.
With more COVID cases, more patients are going to the ER. It's been a strain on the system, but one hospitals are managing.
The volume of patients we're seeing now is 4 to 5 times what we saw in April.
And if we saw the volume we're seeing today in April, it would be a much different story.
If we applied the way things were in April to today, we'd be completely overrun. But we're not, because length stays down. We've got more capacity. We need fewer ventilators.
Back in April and May, Dr. McDevitt says the average stay for a COVID patient was 18 days. Now it's closer to 5. Patients back then had a 57% chance of winding up in the ICU. His data shows now that's about a 35% chance. So how come the length of stay is shorter and patients need fewer ventilators? Dr. McDevitt says there are several reasons. First of all, many patients are younger. There's now more treatments like convalescent plasma, as well as a treatment that shortens hospital stays. There's also more knowledge on how to treat patients.
Part of it is also we understand better how to manage the virus. So whereas before we tended to put people on ventilators very, very early, COVID patients don't tolerate mechanical ventilation all that well. So now we're keeping them off ventilators longer.
Now the hope is the hospitalizations decrease as busy hospitals continue to battle the virus.
It's a testament to living in a medical mecca with a ton of talent and great people working hard.
Marla Carter, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Special medical teams from the Army will join healthcare workers in Houston to assist with the overwhelming number of coronavirus patients. The Army once helped New York City when they were considered an epicenter for the virus, and now southern states and California are seeing a rise in cases and a surge in hospital admissions, as we've been telling you. So today at UMMC, Army nurses and specialists went through orientation, hoping to relieve those working for months.
Some of the staff that normally would work 2 or 3 days in a week, for example, the nurses, they're working 5, 6, 7 days nonstop, and they are exhausted. So having an extra pair of hands to come in and help is really going to make a difference.
So hopefully things improve for the medical staff soon. Where will those workers be? UMMC has converted an unused wing and is adding as many as 50 beds for COVID patients. The Army will care for those who are transferred here from various parts of the city and state. Well, we all know sanitization plays a big role in keeping viruses like COVID from spreading, but could you be using ineffective products? One local alcohol wipe maker says it's possible. Zach McAllister says some of his customers have been picking up wipes that advertise 70% alcohol, but when tested, the results come back negative, meaning they're not cleaning like they say they do. Some warning signs your wipes or sanitizer may be illegitimate. The price is too good to be true. They don't present an odor. The package doesn't warn it's flammable. As you see clearly, these are. And so this is how you test your products to see if they're mislabeled.
You take the smell test, right? And if it doesn't really smell very strong of alcohol, and we're talking strong, like put your nose under it and you have to take it away strong. The easiest thing that you can do is you can take a glass bowl or a pot, from the stove, and you can just put your wipe in question that's in it, put a flame to it, and it'll burn very, very quickly.
I think I'll stick with the smell test. Of course, to test your product safely, you want to do that outside of your home on a hard surface like concrete and keep a non-flammable lid close by to put it out. So if you shop at Walmart or Sam's Club, you will need your mask now. The largest retailer is the latest to announce a mask requirement to all customers. The state is already under a mask mandate, but this will now go for all the stores in other states that don't have one. That requirement going into effect on Monday. And now there are 2 Walmart stores closing to the public until Friday. Those stores are 3450 FM 1960 and the one on Dunvale Road. Walmart says those stores are closed as part of a company program to sanitize them. They'll also be able to restock shelves while they're closed and reopen again on Friday morning. So if you're headed to Starbucks, here's another note for you. You'll want to make sure you're also wearing your mask there. Now, we are required to wear them everywhere, but Starbucks wants customers to know the coffee giant now requiring you to wear one inside. For those not wearing a mask, they can go through the drive-thru, get curbside pickup or delivery. Amazon is trying to make grocery shopping easier with this new cart. Check out what it does. Shoppers at Amazon stores skip the checkout line and head straight for the exit because the price of the groceries will be automatically charged to your credit card, which is, of course, linked to your Amazon account. The computer sensors on the cart are able to scan the items picked out. The company has not said when it could be expanded to all Amazon stores or Whole Food markets. The Astros will start their best on the mound when the season gets going. Greg Bailey with us now. All we have to say is Verlander. The first day will be JV Day.
It's always JV Day. I've been to the park and watched them work out, and he looks really, really good on the mound right now. Dusty Baker does name Justin Verlander as the Astros starter on opening day. After Verlander, Lance McCullers Jr. likely up next to give Zach Greinke a little extra time to get ready. George Springer returning to today's workout after he missed Tuesday due to those COVID testing delays. Pitcher Joe Smith still missing as he moves to the restricted list. The Astros now plan on playing this season without Smith, who happens to be one of their best relief pitchers.
Right now we're playing to go on without Joe. Yeah, I mean, he's a big part of the club. The guys miss Joe, but we know that Joe, every man has to do what they have to do.
Joe has not officially opted out of the season. He has not informed the Astros of that, but they are operating, as you heard Dusty Baker say, they have to play the season without him.
Due to everything going on, can players who opt out opt back in?
Well, it's interesting. Because he has not opted out, Dusty Baker said he is welcome to join our club. We just would have to talk about it before we got to that point.
All right, Greg, thank you. Well, this week is Houston Black Restaurant Week. Coming up, we'll take you inside a local favorite for a look at why their legendary Southern-style comfort food is so special.